Hello, I'm Jenny Fern, and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books, so let's talk about books. Today, we have the mid-year book Freakout tag. Are we freaking out? Whoa, crazy. I have done this tag the 2 years prior. It's just a fun one, so we're gonna do it. How do I feel in general about my reading year so far? I feel okay. I feel okay about it. I will do a video where I go through my goals as well soon, so look out for that. I'll do a goals check-in. But so far I'm feeling all right. I've definitely been reading some things that are so well worth my time and are like changing my life. What is the best book you have read so far this year? This is the first book that I finished this year, and I feel like there's something to that where like the first book starts the year in such a way. That was Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I did not know what to expect with this book. It was so brilliantly written. The writing in this book resonates with me so much. The energy of this work, the themes, just so much of this book is absolutely brilliant. Plot-wise, this follows a man, a bit of a disenfranchised young man who is kind of kicked out of college for things to do with his blackness, and then he explores some different communities, I will say. It has a really, really fascinating and enthralling energy. The best sequel I've read so far. Series-wise, there's a few that I've been reading that I want to mention. I've been reading Frieren, the manga series, and I just think it's so comforting. And I've also been reading Mashal, not very much recently, but that's also been very fun and also comforting. I love it. Oh, also, I did read the whole series, Girls Last Tour. It's an excellent, excellent manga series. It is so good. And I would say all of Girls Last Tour deserves a huge shout out. But for my favorite series, and therefore what I will say is my favorite sequel, The Apothecary Diaries by Natsu Hyuuga. I will die for this series right now. It is just my heart and joy at the current moment. So I will say, I guess I'll say volume 2. I feel like I flew through volume 1 and volume 2 in a time that I really needed something exciting and fun to read in my life, and it couldn't have gone any better. A new release that I haven't read yet, but I want to, that is going to be Luminous by Sylvia Park. I have such a bad memory. I don't know what this is about. It's science fiction-y. I have it on hold from my library system right now. So I'm hoping to read it soon. That's the one. That's the one that I have. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I'd say I would love some recommendations for this. I am so bad at like keeping up with new releases, but I will tell you what I have on my NetGalley shelf right now, because I think that will maybe give some indication. I have Whites by Mark Doden. This is stories. I have that from NetGalley. And I also have Invitation by Mi Jin Kim, which is also stories, I believe. And I have The Past is a Grotesque Animal, which I'm pretty close to finishing up, by Tommy Parrish. So those are what I have in my NetGalley sphere, but for new releases that I might be super interested in that I just don't know about? I don't know. I have no idea. So I would really appreciate somebody telling me what they think that I would like. Biggest disappointment. I really thought when I was younger, I've had this book since I was in high school, or maybe earlier than that. I really thought that I would love the birds. I always saw this book, thought one day I'm gonna read and love the birds. And that day will never come because I just didn't really like it very much. That was quite disappointing because it would be so fun if I loved The Birds by Aristophanes. That would be such like a fun little thing to add to the facts about me, but it's not. It's just not true. I also had pretty high hopes and expectations for saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement. I requested that my library system go out and get this book, and I didn't like it. I read the first volume of the manga. Perhaps I would like it more as a light novel, but I just don't think the plot is anything that I'm interested in. Biggest surprise? The Symbiotic Planet by Lynn Margulis. I did kind of always think that I would like this book because it's a science book about symbiosis, about life and biology and stuff like that, which I do quite enjoy those topics. But I didn't really know all of what this book was going to encompass. It is very, very small level microorganisms and also very, very large level of the planet as a whole. And I also really enjoyed learning about Lynn Margulis as a person. So yeah, this one was the most surprising to me. I got to think so much about life. This book made me think a lot. Every single chapter I was just like roaming around thinking about this book. So this one is the biggest surprise, I suppose. Favorite new author. I'm a little disappointed because I thought maybe there would be something else by this author, but there's not. Dolki Min. I really, really, really loved Walking Practice. I thought it was an excellent, brilliant, experimental piece. I loved it so much. It's about this alien who's trying to blend in on Earth and survives by eating people. I thought it was so interesting, everything that it explored, and also the descriptions were so unique, and I loved it. But Dolki Min has no other work. And then the other work that I absolutely adored by an author I'd never read before was The Dilemmas of Working Women, and that's by Fumio Yamamoto. I'm just now learning that Fumio Yamamoto has died in 2021. No, this makes me so upset. She wrote a novel, Planaria. So I don't know how many books, translated books she has. I really loved her collection of short stories. Question number 8. I feel like I don't always have an answer for this because of the types of work that I'm usually reading. But question number 8 is newest fictional crush. Just, my God. Okay, number 9, newest favorite character. I should get back into the series, but I stepped away from it for a little bit and now I haven't gotten back into it. But I really, really enjoy Mashal from Mashal, Magic and Muscles. He is such a simple boy. He's so sweet. He is just so kind to people. I really like him. And on a completely different side of the coin, I also love Mao Mao so much because she's unapologetically herself. She doesn't, or she cannot hide how smart and useful she is. She also is very kind to people in her own way. And I love how she's accepted into her world as somebody who's valued and that people like. I love seeing a character like her being valued. It is so refreshing. Question number 10. Book that made you cry. I don't think any book has made me cry this year. And I could be wrong, but I don't think so. I will say probably the book most appropriate to cry to, it would make sense to cry to, was Forest of Noise. This is a book of poetry written by a Palestinian, and it is just got the most beautiful imagery of this place that's so beautiful, and yet all of this death and destruction gave me like full body chills. Like even just talking about it now, I have full body chills. Now, please don't judge me. Book that made you happy? There's plenty of books that have made me happy this year, but The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. I just loved that piece. It was such a me piece. I love when like something gets me, and that just got me. And so I felt like I was just grinning ear to ear the entire time just because of how it was written, what it was about. I loved that story so much. So, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I don't feel like I've gotten that many books this year, but I have picked up books from my little free library, including The Trap by Tabitha King. And I love the design of this book so much. Really, the only reason why I have set this aside for myself is because I think the cover design is immaculate. The font and the styling of the photograph itself, I love this cover. So this one to me is the most beautiful book. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I refuse to curse myself. I curse myself every time I talk about anything that I really should read this year, that I need to read. I assign it to myself as something that I need to do, and then I refuse to do it, or it's like looming over me and I don't do it. So I'm not going to. There are books that I've put in TBRs for things that I definitely need to finish this year, and there's a few videos like that. I'm not going to talk about any of those. I'm going to pretend that I never did that to myself, and instead I'm going to do some like standout reads or some, gosh, what is it called when you have like prettiest eyes or like best hair and all that, which also I think is insane that we did that in high school. It seems a little weird. Most conflicting, The Crucible. The Crucible was super conflicting for me because I loved the story. It was so gripping. I flew through it, was obsessed with where it was going, and then I sat and thought about it for a little bit. I read a little bit more about the real story, and I was like, this is insane. This is an insane story to tell. Best short story. I loved the short stories in The Dilemmas of Working Women. Planarian was very, very good. There was a story that I read in Hidden Side of the Moon by Joanna Russ. I read the very first story. It was called The Dirty Little Girl, and it was extremely good. So I wanted to give a shout out for that short story. Best picture book. I was quite fond of Hide and Snake. I think the illustrations are stunning, and the artwork is so cool, and it's such a fun interactive book. The poem Dolor is just in my brain forever now. I think about that a lot. So that is all I have I would love to hear how your reading year is going so far. What are you freaking out about? Do you have any books to recommend that you think I'd like that are new releases? If you enjoyed this, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Also, please do like and subscribe, and I will be back again soon.